This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, all, welcome back. So today we are going to discuss about EFS, Elastic File System, which is different storage. So able to see my screen, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So till now we discussed about few storages, right? Which are like EBS volumes already we discussed, and S3 bucket we already discussed, right? EBS volumes we discussed. Elastic block storage. So what is elastic block storage? Yeah. So we can, EBS volume is a volume. So we can create volume from 1 GB to 16 TB, and we can attach this volume to EC2 instance, right? So this volumes, EBS volumes, we can compare with SAN storage, SAN, storage area network. Okay. So traditional storage is SAN storage. So we can compare with SAN storage. Okay. So this we discussed already, and also we discussed about S3. It's a simple storage service. So this is not block storage. This is the objective storage. Okay. So we can compare with this Google Drive, right? So it will allow you to, so this storage will allow you to add whatever data you want to upload, you can upload, but up to 5 GB it is free of cost. If you utilize beyond the limits, it would be pricing, right? So this two storages we discussed already, and the third one is EFS, okay, Elastic File System. So that we discussed today. So Elastic File System is a service. It provides a simple, scalable, fully managed Elastic NFS file system. It is a cloud-based file storage service for applications and Linux workloads that runs in AWS public cloud. Okay. We have some steps here to create lab. We have some steps, so we'll follow that steps. Steps to follow. First, what we need to do here. First step here is create two instances in two different availability zones. Two different availability zones. We need to create two instances. And the second one here is, second step is, so create a security group by opening NFS port for EFS. Create a security group by opening NFS for EFS. Okay, and third step here is create a EFS by using create a EFS by using security group, which we created in above steps. Okay. Next, fourth step here is follow mount instructions to mount EFS on EC2 instances. So follow mount instructions on mount instructions to mount EFS on EC2 instances. Next one is fifth step here is test EFS on EC2 instances. Okay, so these are the steps we need to follow. Okay, so first we'll do that like first we create security group. Okay, first we create security group. So by opening NFS port for EFS, so after that we create two instances in two different availability zones. Then we'll create EFS by using this security group. Okay, and we can mount instructions. So mount instructions we can mount here EFS on EC2 instances, and we can test EFS on EC2 instances. These are the steps we follow now. So first we create security group. Okay. Right. So we can create security group first. Go to EC2. So go down here, network security, click on security groups. Okay, so we already having one security group here, new security group. Yeah, so what we discussed here. So create a security group by opening NFS port for EFS. So NFS port should be open for EFS. If you want to configure EFS, this NFS port should be open. Otherwise, we cannot configure. So we cannot communicate. So this, we cannot test this. Okay. So that is why NFS port should be open here. So go to security groups, create security group name. So here we can give EFS test something. I can give. So description also same. Okay. So default VPC, you can keep default VPC. So here, so by default, all traffic is enabled. So I don't want to give all traffic here. First, I'll remove this. Next. So I want to add some inbound rules, which are like, so first I want to add 22 port SSH. Okay. After that, I want to add NFS port if you want to enable. So click on NFS 2049 is the port number. So like this, we can enable NFS port number. Okay. So instead of enabling NFS port, I enable RTCP. So like this, we can enable. So we can give anywhere means, so we can access from anywhere, right? So 22 port also not required basically here if you enable RTCP, right? So instead of enabling single port, we can enable all ports 0 to 65535. So in between all the ports will be enabled. So in real time, we should not enable like this. Okay. So in our test lab, we can enable like this because Jenkins is having 8080 port number. Nexus will have different port number. Ansible will have different port number. That is why so single ports we don't enable here in test lab, but in real time we don't enable all ports like this. So we'll segregate some groups, whatever servers require internet connectivity. So for that we create one group, one security group. So whatever servers not required for internet, so those servers will segregate other group, other security group. Okay, fine. So now, yeah, that's it. Can create security group.
So no need outbound rules, sir.
Outbound not required basically. So inbound you can give inbound. So once you give inbound, it will show like this. So all TCP. Okay, fine. Now, so I want to create two instances in two different availability zones. So first step, create two instances in two different availability zones. So we create two instances in two different availability zones and we'll share the files. Elastic file system means we'll share the files from one availability zone to other availability zone. File sharing. Simply you can say file sharing. So in Windows we'll have share folders, right? The same way in Linux workloads we have NFS like EFS. Okay, so EFS file, elastic file system. Through elastic file system we can share the files, right? Yeah, now we can go ahead and create two instances here. So go to instances, launch instance, select instance here. Yeah, one instance we can create in availability zone 2A. Next, add storage, add tags, tag name, web server 1, configure security group. Security group we can select. See here, this is our EFS test security group is our security group, right? So we can select this, review on launch instance, and key pair launch instance. So we have created one instance on 2A availability zone. See here, this is 2A availability zone, right? So I create one more instance on 2B availability zone. Select configure instance, go to subnets here, availability zones, 2B availability zone, add storage, add tags, tag name, web server 2. Security group, you can select security group here. So which we created, this is a security group. Review on launch, key pair, launch instance. So these are the two instances we created in two different availability zones. web server 1, web server 2. So 2 availability zone, 2B availability zone, right? Right. So both are in running state. So let us take through console, copy this public IP, connect party session, authentication, browse, key pair, open, EC2-user. Right. So I want to change the name here. So in place of IP address, I want to change the name. Okay. So here, host name, web server 1. Sudo we need to do sudo. Execute bash. If you give execute bash, so IP will be changed to name. See here. So this is our web server, right? So now ping google.com. Is not pinging. So means some issue happened with this. So security group issue, I think. Security group is not updated. It should be pinged, otherwise, so we can't connect this NFS. I do one thing. So go to actions, security, change security group. So I remove the security group and first I add different security group. So this one I can add. Remove this. New security group. Same. Now it is pinging. Security group is not updated. Okay, proper security group we need to give. So otherwise, okay, it cannot ping. Communication will not be happen. Okay, so when we create security group, it will update. It will take some time. Sometimes, if you not configure properly, so it will not ping. Okay. Yeah. So first server is fine, and the second server also we need to change the security group here. So go to security, change security group. Remove this USG. I want to add this. Add security group. Done. So connect this server, second one also with this. Is type user. So increase the font size. So sudo host name web server 2. Execute bash. Right. So we have changed the name here. Right. So till now we have completed first two steps. Right. So now we create EFS using above security group. So we created new security group, right? So we use different previous security group, right? So now I create EFS. So ping google.com. Now go to services, storage, EFS, Elastic File System. Click on this. So create file system. Click on create file system. So file system name, EFS, file share. You can give some name here. So default VPC, you can keep the default VPC here. So a regional or zone, whatever, you can use this. Okay, you can use default one and click on create. So our EFS is created here. Okay, so EFS Elastic File System is created. Open this. Right. So click on network here. Open network. So now it is creating. So it will take few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes to create. Yeah, now it is available. See here, now it is available. Yeah, next one is click on main. Yeah. So here, what we need to do? Yeah. So we need to select our security group here. So whatever security group we selected for instances, that same security group we need to select here. We need to configure. So new SG which I selected, right? Select this new SG for 2A availability zone, new SG for 2B also. I'm selecting this. 2C there is no server, so ideally we don't need to leave this. So you can select like this. Okay. 2A, 2B, 2C. So I have selected security group. Click on save. I save this. Okay. So now create a EFS by using security group which you created in above steps. That is completed. Next one is the mount instructions. To mount EFS on EC2 instance, we need to follow the mount instructions. What are those? Let us go here and click on attach here. One option is there, attach. Click on this, see here. So these are the mount instructions. So this is the command to mount our EFS on EC2 instances. Okay. So before mounting, so let us go to servers. So Control Z to stop this. Okay. And here we need to create one folder, EFS folder. So sudo mkdir. Mkdir is the command to create folder. So in Linux session, we'll discuss these commands. Don't worry about it. Okay. So mkdir is the command to create folder /EFS. So sudo mkdir space /EFS. I'm creating EFS folder here. Okay. Enter. Right. cd /EFS. I'm switching to folder. CD means change directory. Okay. So now I'm in EFS folder. Okay. So now ping google.com. So why we are pinging this google.com? To avoid session timeout. Okay, session timeouts will be happen. That is why to avoid that we are pinging google.com, right? So second one also, second server also, control Z to stop this. So sudo mkdir space /efs, same folder. Okay, cd /efs, right? So now I am in EFS folder. So next one is, yeah, this is web server 2, right? So now we can mount. So we need to follow the mount instructions to mount EFS on EC2 instances, right? So open this. So this is the mount path. So from here to here, just copy this. Last EFS don't need to copy. So just copy from here to slash. Okay, go to web server 2. So right click here, space /EFS. So what we are doing now, so this EFS folder we are mounting. Okay, enter. Now it is mounted. So if you want to check whether it is mounted or not, df space -h is the command to check whether it is mounted or not. See here, this is mounted. EFS folder is mounted here, right? Now move to web server 1. So move to web server 1, control Z to stop. Okay, so here, so we need to mount this folder. So copy this path, space /EFS, enter. Now it is mounted. df space -h. Now it is mounted, right? So this EFS folder is mounted on both the availability zones on both the servers. Now we can share the files between two different availability zones. So web server is 1 is in availability zone 2A, web server 2 is in availability zone 2B, right? So in between these two instances, we can share the files. So till now we have completed fourth step. So mounting also we have completed. So fifth step is the test EFS on EC2 instances. So now what we will do, so this is my web server 1. Clear the screen. So here what I will do, I create some files on web server 1. I want to create some files here. Touch is the command to create files. Okay, touch file 1, file 2 and file 3. So I'm creating 3 files on web server 1. Okay, touch is the command to create files. Enter here. Okay, sudo, we need to use sudo here. Sudo touch file 1, file 2, file 3. So now if you check ls here, see here, file 1, file 2, file 3. So we created on web server 1. Not web server 1. EFS folder we map, right? So in this folder we created file 1, file 2, file 3. Now if you switch to web server 2, okay, we are in EFS folder now. If you check ls here, one second, something happened here. cd.out. So let's check why it is not showing. Okay, so one more time we'll mount this. Something happened here. So copy this space / EFS already mounted. Already mounted. Okay, so now cd / EFS ls here. Okay, 1 second. Next web server to cd / EFS ls here. Okay, fine. So clear the screen. So now both the mount points are mounted. So I'm in web server 1. Now what I want to do, so sudo fetch file1, file2, file3. So I want to create some files on web server 1. Okay, enter. Now if you check ls here, file1, file2, file3 is available on EFS folder on web server 1. Now go to web server 2. You check ls now. See here what it is showing. So I created 3 files on web server 1. Those files are available on web server 2, right? So in web server 2, I want to create one folder here. Okay, sudo mkdir git. I want to create git folder on web server 2. See here. Now we have 3 files and 1 folder on web server 2. Now moving to web server 1. So now if you check ls here, see here. So whatever folders I created in web server 2, those are available on web server 1 because EFS folder we mounted on both the servers. So this is central folder. So file sharing is happening from one availability zone to other availability zone. So here what I will do on web server 1, sudo mkdir Jenkins. I'm creating one folder on web server 1. ls here. Now we have on web server 1, we have 3 files and 2 folders, Git and Jenkins folder. So go to web server 2 and check ls here. See here, the same folders, same files available on web server 2. So like this, we can share the files between availability zones. Okay. So in real projects, normally for file sharing, we use this EFS file system. So clear? Any questions?
So that same name is mandatory, sir. EFS.
Sorry, same name?
We are given EFS, right, sir?
Yeah, different name also you can give. You can give different name also. No need to give.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not mandatory. You can use different name also. You can use your name also. Right? And so this is the way we can. Sorry.
First the files ఎందుకు చూపిలేదు? Initially the files were not shown in the server 2, right? What was the mistake?
Can you come again?
Sir, మనం server 1 లో క్రియేట్ చేసిన ఫైల్స్ server 2 లో చూపించలేదు కదా ఇనిషియల్లీ.
Yeah. So mounting లో అంటే రిఫ్రెష్ అవ్వలేదు. సో రిఫ్రెష్ అవ్వలేదు ఫస్ట్ టైం. అందుకే రిఫ్రెష్ అయ్యింది. సో తర్వాత మనకి చూపిస్తుంది. మౌంట్ చేసినప్పుడు రిఫ్రెష్ చేయాలి ఒకసారి. అందుకే సో I came out from the EFS folder and again I moved to EFS folder first time. EFS ఫోల్డర్ నుంచి బయటకు వచ్చి మళ్ళీ ఇన్సైడ్కి వెళ్ళాను, అప్పుడు మనకు చూపించింది. రిఫ్రెష్ అవ్వలేదు అన్నమాట. Right, so this is the way we can configure EFS for file sharing. Okay, so the real projects flow. So what we will do, so we'll share some KT files. We share from Linux documents, like EC2 documents, so project documents like this. Okay, so whatever documents we are using in, this is for Linux workloads, not for Windows. Linux workloads. Okay, so basically some Linux systems. So if you want to share any files, we share like this.
Sir, how Windows? How can we do it? Sir? Windows also same configuration.
Windows file sharing is different. That is share folders. We use share folders. Okay. So, but this is a Linux file sharing.
Sir, ఈ మౌంటింగ్ ప్రాసెస్ అనేది స్టాండర్డా? I mean, in case,
yeah.
For example, if we backed up a data and the servers gets crashed, if we want to mount the data that we have backed up earlier, so this is the method we need to follow.
Yeah, backup mechanism. So backend will have some backup mechanism. Don't worry about backup. But mounting part is a standard process. So whatever path they provide, cloud vendor will provide, that we need to mount. Okay.
Okay, this.
Fine. So still we have some small service which is Glacier, right? So we discussed about Glacier also. It will not take much time. It will take 10 minutes. Okay. So S3 Glacier. Okay, so Glacier is a storage which is cheaper storage. Compare with all other storages, this is cheaper storage. So Glacier is also one of the storage. So normally where we use this Glacier to back up our data for long run, means for example, you have completed one project. Okay, one project is completed. So that project data is required for backup for longer time. After 3 years, we require the data. After 1 year, the data is required. So by the time what we will do, so we use Glacier. So otherwise, what will happen if you move to S3 bucket or EBS volumes? So bill will be generated. More bill will be generated. So when you use Glacier, what will happen? So it is a 20 times cheaper compared with all other storages. So for example, for EBS volumes, if you are paying $20, for Glacier you will pay only $1. That much of cheaper. So moving data into Glacier is very easier, but whenever you want to retrieve the data, whenever you want to archive, it will take a lot of time. That is why big organizations they don't use Glacier. So startup companies, they use Glacier. Okay, big organizations, whenever they need data, it will not come out. So it will take some time, right? That is why, so big organizations, they don't use Glacier. Fine. So let us quickly go and check that options. Okay. So here we have 2 ways to create Glacier. It's very simple. So 2 ways to create Glacier. So don't create Glacier. So I don't create Glacier. I'll show you steps. Okay. Yeah. If you want to create Glacier, so go to storage, S3 Glacier, click on this. So create vault. First we need to create vault. So before attaching resources, so we need to create vault first. Click on this vault. So vault name. So I give Glacier. So next. So here it is asking you to configure some notifications. Do not enable notifications. One option is there. Enable notifications and create new SNS topic. Okay, if you want to enable this, you can enable, or else enable notifications and use an existing NFS SNS topic. So if you have already SNS topic, you can enable this. Okay, so I don't want to enable notifications. Click on next here, submit. So once we submit this, Glacier will be created. After that, we need to attach some resources to the Glacier. This is one way. Okay, so cancel this. Normally we don't use like this. Normally, how can we create Glacier? Go to services. So S3 bucket, I think S3 already available. Let me check. Nothing is available, right? So let me create quickly one S3 bucket. Create S3 bucket. S3 bucket name DevOps. Okay. Create bucket. Done. Okay. So normally how we configure Glacier. So open this S3 bucket, click on this. So go to management, click on management. Okay. So create lifecycle rule. So normally, so we don't push manually. We create lifecycle rules and we enable rules. By the time what will happen? As per the rule, okay, the data will be moved to Glacier. So through rules only we move the data from S3 bucket to Glacier and different storages from different storages to Glacier. So let us click on this create lifecycle rule. So lifecycle rule name, some rule one something we can give. So go down here. So prefix is not required. So go down here. Lifecycle rule actions. Okay, what are the actions we are going to perform? So transition current versions of object between storage classes. So current versions means latest data, latest versions. Okay, so we don't require this. Second one, transition previous versions of object between storage classes. So previous versions means old data. Select this, go down here, storage class transitions. Okay, which storage you want to use? Standard IA is latest one. Okay, I don't want to use this. And intelligent tiering also latest one. One zone IA also latest one. Glacier. Okay, so this Glacier is the cheaper storage. So when you move the data to Glacier, so you will get less costing, less pricing. Okay, select Glacier, and days after object become non-current. So this is important. So non-current means, for example, so you have some data on S3 bucket. So once complete 90 days, the data will be moved to Glacier. Whatever data you have on your S3 bucket, once complete 90 days, that data will be moved to Glacier. Right? So like this, we can create some lifecycle rules. So based on this lifecycle rules, the data will be moved to Glacier. Right? So this is the way normally in real projects we configure. So whenever you want to move data to Glacier, so we create some lifecycle rules. So based on that lifecycle rule, data will be moved to Glacier. These are the two ways to create Glacier. Okay, I acknowledge here and create rule. So once the data completes 90 days, whatever data you have on S3 bucket, the data will be moved to S3 Glacier. Right? So this is the way we can configure. Any questions here? Yeah. So you can practice this. EFS is very, very important. So Glacier is not much important. Basically, we don't get any questions on Glacier also. But what is the difference? Why the project teams will move data to Glacier? Like that they will ask. So you can say like simply, it is a cheaper storage. So comparing with EBS volumes S3 bucket, it is just cheaper. So 20 times cheaper. So if we spend if for EBS volume $20, so we can spend only $1 for Glacier. Like that you can say. So cheaper storage. Project teams, they want to save their project data for longer time, so they can move to Glacier. Like that we can explain. Nothing more than nothing. They will not ask more than that. Okay.
Hello, sir. Sir, again the same question. Say, my question is how to mount the data that has been previously backed up to any server.
Okay. So previously backed up server data from the okay. So you have some
How
data
we
on
need
server.
to?
Yeah, you have some data on server. That data you want to move to Glacier. Am I correct?
No, sir. We have moved to Glacier or any other storage platform. See, at a certain point of time, we need to mount the data to any other instance. How to mount the data? How to mount that backed up data?
Right. So you have moved some data to Glacier. That data you want to archive or mount.
Yes, sir. Not only Glacier
So
or any other.
Yeah, your question is a little confusing. Okay. Anyways,
sir,
so you
hello.
Yes, so the question is, for example, we backed up the data. So we have backed up the data, not only S3, maybe on any other storage platform. So after few days, maybe whatever the reason, so we want to get the data back. We want to mount the data to the servers. Maybe the servers got crashed. So we want to create another servers, and we want to mount the data that has been previously backed up to these servers. So how to mount the data? That's my question.
Okay.
Store back.
Fine. Yeah. So you have backed up some data. So that data you want to mount to the server. So if the server is crashed, if you recreate new server, you want to mount that data, right? Fine. So normally in real projects, what will happen? So we use some backup mechanisms. Okay. So Miku, I already explained that. Okay. So for example, so in our project, we are using tape libraries. Okay. So every day, daily backups will be happened on tape libraries, and weekly backups also happen, and monthly backups also happen. So whenever any server crashed, okay, so whenever we recreate the server, by the time, so from the tape library, so we insert the tapes, and from the tape library, we retrieve the data and we move the data to target server, whatever servers. For example, last time one issue happened, so a couple of months back, okay, some share folders deleted, share paths and DNS entries, so those are deleted due to some server issue. Okay, so by the time what we did, so that particular tape we insert into the tape library and we retrieve that backup, whatever tape, whatever backup is available in the tape, that backup. So when we recreate the server, that backup we move to server through network only. Okay, it was resolved. So normally when you, for example, so you have taken backup into your external drive. You have some data in your laptop. You have taken that backup into your laptop, your external drive. Your laptop is crashed. What you will do when you when you reinstall the OS, operating system. So again you reconnect that and you can copy the data into your system.
Yeah. Sir, how to get this Glacier data back to production? I mean, we have taken a backup.
You're asking.
Yeah,
Got it. Glacier backup, right? So here we require some third-party tool, which is Fast Glacier. If you search in Google, Fast Glacier, so that tool is required to retrieve the data. So you can archive from Glacier to your normal server. But moving the data is very easier. But when you want to retrieve the data, it will take a lot of time. So that is only the disadvantage of Glacier. Okay, so Fast Glacier, one tool is there, third-party tool that we need to install, and using that tool we can archive the data into our local. Okay, so that is the thing.
Okay, so we get the data through the tapes.
Yeah, normally in real projects, if you are using tape libraries, you can get the data from tapes
But in
only.
AWS, we don't have tapeness.
Yeah,
It's a cloud, right?
When you talk about AWS, so we'll have so much of redundancy. No need to worry about tapes. No need to worry about physical environments, because we will have availability zones. We'll have regions. Availability zone data will be available. Region data also available. Again, AWS is providing backup mechanism. We discussed already backup service, right? AWS backup service. Volumes, EBS volumes can back up. EFS also can back up, and different things we can back up, right? So cloud platforms, cloud vendor will take care of backup part. No need to worry about. So we have so much of redundancy. Redundancy means so replication mechanism. Okay, so in cloud platforms, no need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Any other questions? Anyone? Fine. So we stop here for today. So from Monday onwards, we'll start working on Linux sessions. Okay, Linux basics. Okay, it will take three sessions. So once complete that, so we'll start working on DevOps. Okay, so up to here you can practice. So if you have any questions, any doubts, you can post in the group so that we'll check it out. So yesterday someone pinged me, so I forgot his name. So after this session, I'll revert that. Okay, no issue. If you face any issues while practicing, so you can you can take the screenshot and post in the group so that we'll check it out. Okay, so from Monday onwards, we'll start working on Linux sessions. Fine. So we stop here for today. Thank you all.
Thank you.